I was then struck by lightning.
Good end?
Wait, what?
Well, it's a good end. She gets killed now. Everyone else is like, oh well. Now what do we do?
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, village doesn't get massacred. Actually, if she gets struck by lightning now, they'd probably still do the project, but just wouldn't massacre the village because, well, why the fuck would they?
Right.
Yeah. So yes, good end actually. Yeah, this is a good end. It feels weird to make a joke about there being a good end. That kind of explains the series. Oh, is she just gonna go die in the forest now? Or maybe she's actually gonna die in the forest.
Oh, I see what we're doing. Transition back to the as a child running away from the orphanage.
I was gonna say, that really fucked her up, but no, that's quite reasonably fucked her up.
Minecraft hadn't been invented yet, so I didn't know what to do from this point.
Oh. Yeah, fuck it. Nah,
So
they're
that was
dead.
across the river. Oh well.
Sounds like it's raining. Like,
Further update.
yeah. But the good news is, then no one will be able to find you. This all isn't a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, obviously not. They're not fucking walking around in a wet forest at night. Well, nerd.
Nerd against authority.
Yeah, things generally do go downhill after both your parents are suddenly killed.
By the way, like relative to other games, how long is this game? Curious.
I forget where it's at. But it would naturally be one of the longer ones because, well, got a lot of shit to cover. As you'd expect. You're wondering like how many months it's going to take to finish this?
A little bit.
Yeah, good luck and fun don't die, basically.
I mean, that's the one fatal flaw of this series of games is that they're just too fucking long.
Sounds like there's a lot going on.
they keep repeating things like 3 times over.
Uh-huh.
It gets fucking old. We get it. Like
Again, you
it
always bring
can
this
be
up
too
when...
descriptive.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, you constantly bring it up when something actually different is actually brought up. But I know you're not just referring to like this exact line, but I get what you mean. No, because
Yeah,
that is the problem with them. It is just his writing style.
yeah.
He
Like
just does it.
these would be great as books.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
writes these like a book. But if you have visuals and like everything and like stuff to remember, you you can chill out with the descriptions a bit, my friend.
No. You get descriptions. No choice.
Like I I'm not sure what the percentage is, but there's definitely a decent chunk that you could just take out and not change it, and it wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, it's the bits that you don't see on YouTube.
Right. 25% seems like a bit much. I bet you could chop out like 20% of all of it though.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
'Cause it's a good story, but fucking hell, it's so long and I get so goddamn bored sometimes.
On the flip side, it doesn't make us come up with some stupid batshit to keep ourselves amused.
Mhm.
Uh, but no, that's yeah. It is that is an issue. Well, I say it's an issue. Either you're into it or you're not. Basically, is when it comes down to it.
Mhm.
Because you'll find people that are like, no, that's no problem. It's great. Fuck you, essentially. Um, about it, and yeah, and I guess in yeah, ultimately at the start when I said, well, I questioned whether this would work or not. That was the point that that I was questioning, and
Yeah, yeah, and you
somehow
mentioned it
we
8
have
times.
made it work. But no, that is the issue. That is why I'm still skeptical about an Umineko series.
Yeah, I'm very hesitant to start that one.
Yeah, because yeah, I've told you how long that is.
Mhm.
The writing style is arguably, again, depending on how you view it, a better slash worse than this. As in, he did it more there.
Mm.
uh,
Like, okay.
yeah.
Like, I was into this series from pretty early on till about the end of game 6.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is about right.
with the, Rena, like, I say fight. Well, I guess it was. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Rena fight and ending.
Yeah.
I feel like that's its peak, and I don't think it's gonna top it. Like, from then on, I've just been like kind of drudging along. Like, I don't really, I don't want to say I don't want to know the answer, but it's like, does it really matter anymore?
I mean, that's what you just said there is probably one of the more common opinions. That, well, yes, actually, it did peak at the end of chapter 6. That was the peak,
Hmm.
right? And
Right.
so, unfortunately, the answer is no, it doesn't get any better. It doesn't top that.
I wasn't expecting to. It really didn't seem like it was going to.
It doesn't top that. The ultimate conclusion does. It's good, but no, it's not going to top that. That was good. And yeah, that was the peak. This year, you're not getting any better than that. And
Hmm.
yeah, and so with Umi Neko, I was like there nearly at the end of chapter 3 of that series. um, because yeah, essentially you get to the also you get to like I don't know, I really like chapter 2, but no one actually rates it at all. Umi Neko. Um, no, I kind of got the end of there and then through chapter 2, I was like, oh, what the fuck's going on? Then you get to the end of chapter 4, the end of the questions. And you're like, okay, you've kept my interest. I'm going to actually keep going with this. Then you trudge along for way too long, and then you get near the end, you're like, okay, fine, it's getting good again. Like 50 hours later.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like,
So.
I think the prime example of like the flaw of his writing style is I can point to whenever Rika is having a conversation with Hanyu. That's basically where it kind of shines the most, is that it's just too long and repeating the same things over and over again within a
Yeah.
short amount of time of each other.
Yes. And without much reason to, you know.
Right. Like how many times did Hanyu say like, but they can't see me, they can't hear me during the ending of the last game? Like at least 3 or 4 fucking times.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. You had a good thing going here and you're kind of fucking it.
Yeah.
I'm not against, like, there's a good story here. It's just too fucking long.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, I'm sure I'll be down to do Umineko someday. But like, the way I don't want to do it all of it in like one go. I want
No.
to like do a game, take a break, play something else, and then come back to it later.
That's
If
not
we
a
did
bad way
that
of
with
doing it.
this, yeah, if we did this that way, I'd be way more into it. I guarantee. It's because we're doing all this in one go. That's the
Yeah,
main issue.
and that's
And
and
I'll
to be
completely
fair,
acknowledge that's on
and
us.
that is
But
the problem with anyone getting into it now, because we have all the games, right? They all came out like
right, exactly.
They
Yeah, I
all
get what you're
released
saying.
in
Yeah.
2006, like that they all came out. And it's kind of an inverse actually to most manga in that way, in that there are several manga that are better to binge. Or same with anime, that there's some series that are just better to binge, just nearly unintentionally. However, this is our one that shouldn't be binged.
Oh yeah, this is a horrible game series to binge.
Yeah.
Do not recommend.
So that's what we did.
And
And
it's taken over a year.
yes, that's the problem with trying to do it. Well, it's taken over a year because we have like 3 hours a week. You know, like if you were to actually, like if you were just to go off on your own devices and actually binge this, you'd have done it in 2 months. But still, that would be 2 months. It would have taken. I wish.
I would have hated it. I probably would have hated it
You
if I
probably would
did
have
that.
hated it if you did. Yeah. So basically, what this is all quite a nice way to set up to say that over the next 2 months there may be on-off bits, unrelated to this, but we're going to now use this as a nice excuse for the fact that I'm going to be all over the world over the next 2 months. But yes, that might have unintentional good consequences as a result.
So yes, that's his reasoning. My reasoning is I really fucking want to play Danganronpa some more.
Yeah, but the problem is you can't have that either.
Damn it.
So you lose as well.
Fuck. I really want to go to summer camp. So it's gonna be hilarious.
So unfortunately, to anyone who is watching along, we're now on episode what, 150? This is either 154 or 155, right?
I would guess 55. Yeah.
Yeah, depending on how savage I've been with the first part of this. Actually, no, we're only 47 minutes in. Now this is 154. Yeah, so you've been here for 154 episodes. This is the point where we tell you probably shouldn't have done what you've just done, which is watch up to 154 episodes. Unless
Which
this
if
is...
anybody has, cool. But
yeah,
also,
yeah, really cool.
You're fucking up.
Yeah, you fucked up. We fucked up. The majority of people who've played these games in the last decade have fucked up. Fuck, last decade was 2012. It's probably even longer. Could be like 15 years of fucking up that's gone on. 15 years of fuckery. Yeah, that's all we found here. That's really the title of a chapter or a novel or something like that. 15 years of fuckery. But yes, we've had 15 years of fuckery. Because if you played these games on their original release schedule, which was 6 months to a year apart, you'd have been fine. It'd been great. But no, now we're here.
Yeah.
Now we fucked up. However, we will get it done in just over a year, rather than like 5, 6, 4. Fuck, who knows however long it took for the original games to come out.
Hmm.
So, swings and roundabouts, I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
Also,
obviously,
since a lot.
you wouldn't need to go to
But
that extreme
hmm
for them.
also, since we're currently in a bit that probably won't be on the video anyway. Did you see the new episode of Comey?
Oh fuck, I didn't this week. Gee, I've been distracted by a load of other shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best episode.
Yeah.
It was just eh.
Wow. Okay.
It's there isn't much Tadano Comey relationship in it, which to me is like the strongest part of that show. Okay, it's not bad. It's just it's just not one of the strong. This is a weaker episode.
Yeah. Tell you what, it's one of those things that's setting up for other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Eat the fate. What you getting? But that does provide a good example. Well, I'm saying that arguably that's actually a series that's better to binge.
Oh, Comey? Oh no, it was great.
Yeah, because
I watched all 15 episodes in one night. I wanted more. Like
yeah, exactly. But because the ups and downs like that happen more naturally, right? It doesn't feel like, oh, okay, this week's was kind of eh, and you're
yeah,
like, oh, okay. Whereas if you then had immediately gone to the next one, it would naturally fit within kind of like the whole story. The flow of the story. It all fits. It all fits nicely together. Um, you find the same with like weekly manga as well. Is that you can have a chapter where kind of it's like, well, nothing happened, and people get pissed and they flip tables and they do all that shit. But however, if you read it in terms of, say, if you read a manga by volume and just get a volume and read it all basically in one go, you don't even notice that was a slightly down chapter because it just fits naturally into the overall story.
mm-hmm.
However, that doesn't really work in this case because, well, the natural breaks are to read it not as a story of Higurashi, but as essentially 8 volumes. I feel we came to some sort of conclusion there, somehow, out of nowhere. But ultimately,
It's
we
just
fucked up.
some criticisms I was thinking about.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of glad you get it.
No, I get it. Yeah. It also doesn't help that the answer, that I can easily see that the answers end up significantly more boring than what it could be in terms of the
I
answer
guess.
to the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And as a result then of the pacing, to essentially have the big dramatic peak at the end of chapter 6, where chapter 6 really you don't fuck all, right? So he's not, so
Right.
after basically essentially setting up a grand mystery, whatever the fuck, and everything that's going on, which there's a lot going on, after setting it up for 6 games, he now has to wrap it up in 2. And then, as we saw in the 7th, yes, while mostly wrapped it up, there's still a lot of detail to, well, what? Well, yeah, what? It's like, okay, great, you told us who did it, you told us, you gave them the how they did it, but like, why though? And then you got this game, which has got to fill in all the why though, as well as all the other questions that are still unanswered, and somehow wrap the entire thing up.
Mhm.
So inherently, it's going to be long, and it's also probably going to be fucking boring in the process. Because it sort of used up all the exciting points.
Right.
Yeah. And doesn't have a lot left here. And given us the end of the series, you shove them all right at the end, so people don't lynch you when they finish the game. And therefore, the start of it is like, okay. I mean, I'm sort of a nerd that doesn't mind it. But that's the thing is, but yeah, I'm the nerd that this shit was designed for. However, the problem with these series in general is with the way they start, they can attract in people who don't know what they're getting themselves into, in a way.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
Yeah, not
That's a
saying
good
as
way to
much
put
that
it.
you didn't know what you were getting yourself into, but you start as one thing and it finishes as another. That's our way.
Mm-hmm.
And over something like this, where it kind of wavers as much as it does, it's kind of unavoidable that a number of people are going to start it and then get to the end and be like, okay, just not think much of it. Kind of depending how long they get it long, they just kind of get trapped into, well, I'm this far, I'm going to see what fuck happens. Even though this series has long turned from being something that it's a long term from what I was interested in. And again, you see with any sort of long running series over a few years is that they just naturally change, and sort of inevitably you will lose people who were there at the start because, well, the series has kind of changed. It's probably, yeah. I guess regardless of whether it's, say, in your binging or what's coming out, but obviously if it's in the process of being released, that's obviously more dramatically likely to happen, because obviously nobody knows how it's going to end up. At least when the entire thing is out, there can be, I don't know, some warning, because, well, people know how it ends. So that can be based into recommendations then of, okay, it's going to start like this, but it's going to end like this. Which I didn't do for you because you explicitly asked not to. And I'm not sure I could have done anything justice anyway, because I kind of didn't expect any of it to work. So I was like, no, this is fucked from the beginning. And then you're like, no, it's not fucked. I'm like, okay, it's not fucked. To be fair, we got a year out of it.
Oh yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, now it's fucked. I'm like, like, fuck, I was right.
It's not like I don't intend on finishing it.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes it's just a fucking slog.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I think I've said it before, probably said it ages and ages ago. I don't think it is working better, therefore, as a YouTube series in terms of what people are watching.
Mm-hmm.
I think it definitely works better as that. Yeah, it's a lot more fucking work to do it like this. I think the end result is significantly better. The unfortunate thing, that doesn't avoid you still having to watch it all.
Uh-huh.
It's like, unfortunately, you signed up for this.
Right.
kind of unavoidable.
Right.
I don't know then, because obviously you're watching YouTube as well. Would you have been fine enough with what you just saw on YouTube, or would you still have been like, no, I need to go back now, and I'll play through the game myself or whatever with them? If you just watched the YouTube version.
Just watching YouTube, I would not have felt the need to play this, no.
Yay, I did my job right.
Yeah. Which is, why I don't look up shit whenever I play any visual novel. If I would have looked up Danganronpa and watched the Game Grumps play it before I played it, I would never have played it. Which would have been a damn shame.
It would have been, yeah. And yeah, because you would have lost that experience of doing it yourself. So,
right.
Especially on something like
and it's like it rocketed itself to like one of my top 5 favorite games.
Yeah. Which would just not have happened if you know what's coming. I mean, like the whole thing was you immediately latched onto Junko.
That was so fucking funny.
that wouldn't have happened if you didn't play it yourself. And it wouldn't have then been able to happen.
I just saw Routine went nuts.
Yeah, but it wouldn't.
Because in my defense, Mukuro is cute as hell.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it. Mukuro is cuter than Junko. I'm just gonna say it. The dimples do a lot for me. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
It is the dimples. It's the dimples.
Okay. Yeah, no, but that whole thing would have been completely. Well, it just wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
No. This is going to be a weird. This is going to be a weird episode where. Yeah, it's like 154 episodes into this series would tell you just wasted your time. And that it's like, man, the conclusion is that 1, you wasted your time in this series, and 2, you probably shouldn't have watched this anyway, because you've just ruined your own experience. You know,
I
apparently,
wouldn't say it's a waste of time. It's just we're 154 episodes in. We're
yeah.
not done yet, but you've seen the good bits. Like,
I mean, there's still some more good bits, but you've gotten that's what you're gonna get out of this. To be fair,
okay. A couple other things while we're on this topic before I forget.
right?
Game 4 was definitely not necessary. I know he made it as like an extra.
Yeah.
It was definitely not necessary.
Yeah. I don't
I
know.
feel no need for it.
Yeah.
Akasaka's been useless otherwise. Like
Right.
like he might become useful in this game, but like there's no point.
I would say no. I would make. We'll get to the end of the series, and if we didn't have that, um, you'd be flipping tables, essentially. Because
Okay.
no, it does fill in some gaps. To be fair, I think that was the right length though, for what it was.
No, the
It,
game itself is a fine length. It's just in the overall structure.
no, but
I don't
that's
know, man. I'm just
no,
trying to think of ways it could have shortened it. It just needs a lot of little bits chopped out
no.
throughout the entire thing.
Yes, because no, I think Game 4 as it is, I think Game 4 is actually fine. I think
Yeah, game 4 is fine. It's a good length. I would
yeah,
not
no,
have. Yeah.
no, it's a good length for what it needs to do, and if he hadn't have done that, as you'll get to the end of this and things won't make sense, right? I think there'll be a lot more cries of bullshit in the last game and this game if we didn't have that game. Because if you think about then what would have happened, in terms of basically everything around Rika, which is well, that's kind of the big deal of the last
Mm-hmm.
games, is that would have all come out essentially out of nowhere. It would come completely out of nowhere, with no context, no explanation, just kind of like, well, you should have figured it out from the first three games. Which, like, what the fuck were you supposed to figure it out from the first three games? Like, it's like, yes, you go back and pinpoint all these little lines and clues here and be like, oh look, it makes perfect sense. But naturally,
Okay.
you'd have had every right to flip the tables and go, nah, fuck that, that's bullshit.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, basically, if we didn't have Game 4, you would have done that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think,
Fair enough.
no, Game 4 was actually a good example of what actually the series as a whole should have been.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that short, because it was as short as it was because of just the nature of the story in that game, which was just it wasn't a long story. There wasn't a lot to say there because there wasn't a big gap that you had to fill in.
Right.
So there wasn't a lot to do there,
But
and it was fine for that. So I think the point is that it's not that we're saying that all the games needed to be as short as Game 4. They just needed to be as appropriate to their length as Game 4 was.
I think game 1 and 2 were fine.
Yeah, no, they're fine.
Game 3 is when you kind of start to feel it.
Yeah.
The length problem.
Mm-hmm.
Game 4, yeah, I'll agree. It was fine. I can't really complain about game 4.
No, it was the right length for what it was.
Game 5 was great. I honestly can't complain about game 5.
6 was
Game
best
6.
at the
Game
end.
6, I said it best at the end. All the bullshit parts were worth it.
Yeah.
But there were some bullshit parts that could have been cut.
Yeah, what saved that was that the good parts were good enough to cover up the bullshit in that game.
Uh-huh.
But yeah.
You really start to feel it in game 7 though.
Yeah.
You
And
really start to feel the length there.
yeah, and you've also then got the problem of what you've just come off as well, which is the problem of binging it like this
Mm-hmm.
and going straight from one to the other. Is that if you had, say, taken just a month, so take a month after Game 6, and then gone back into 7, you would have probably taken that much better. I would think.
True. I still think I would have noticed it, but I
You
wouldn't
would have
have been
noticed it.
bitching about it
Like,
as
there's
much.
nothing you
Yeah.
can do about that.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. Just the necessity of you've hit. It's like have you ever seen like a generic chart for how to lay out a story in terms of the peaks and the troughs of the story?
Right.
Essentially, Game 6 is like you're is like the second last peak before the very end. That's what Game 6 is. It's that peak
Mm-hmm.
before you get to the end where it's like really, like it's nearly at the same peak as the final chapter will be, right?
Right.
If you're designing again, obviously there'll be debate whether actually it is higher or lower, but you every story has that sort of climax before the climax
Right.
of the story, and then it does, and they always then dip sharply after. So that part's unavoidable. But given the length of this game, and arguably how far then it dips afterwards, uh, before going back up, you end up stretching out that dip in between the climax of Game 6 and the finish of this game. And with then and the end of Game 7, not really having as strong a peak. There's there's a bit of a peak in 7, but just nearly by its nature of in this story, it's not like that second last peak. Second last peak is Game 6. The problem is you have to have it with this layout and the length and what this story is. You have to build up to another one at the end of 7, but the one at the end of 7 is nowhere near what 6 was.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like you just dragged the whole thing out quite long. Which, yeah, if you were looking at more as 8 individual stories somewhat linked, it would fit better. And you'd be able to take that better. Rather than, having sharp dip, building to not as high a peak, then taking another sharp dip. Which wouldn't have been a problem if the peak at the end of 7, or middle end 7, you would even argue where the actual peak is in 7. Is it when Sudoku got rescued, or is it at the end when the shit hit the fan? But to be honest, either of those are nowhere near the peak of the 6th game.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they don't work as that second last peak in the overall story. So it all feels meh.
Too long didn't read. Shit's too long. We know. We're sorry, but we're stuck in it.
It'll be finished by August, don't worry. I think. Better be. No. The way you're going about on with Danganronpa, it could take another fucking year to drag you out of that.
I mean, since supposedly that one gets better as we go on.
Yeah. in before we're like 150 episodes somehow into a Danganronpa series, and you start saying the exact same thing. We're like, the problem could be we're just playing too many fucking games,
I feel like that's kind of impossible because they have so many different characters in that.
Right.
And every situation is going to be different. And there's actual gameplay, so that will change too.
Yeah. So it'll be like 2036 I pull you out Danganronpa, is what you're saying.
They keep releasing games during the meantime, maybe.
Congrats, your Twitch channel is now the purely Danganronpa channel.
I'm okay with that.
Halfway through saying, I was like, that isn't a bad idea, actually.
No.
There could be worse things to do. To be fair.
Clearly, it gets me the views. Rolls eyes.
Oh yes, those views. We know what
They
that's
might
like.
go. I don't know. When we start putting up Danganronpa videos, that'll probably be the most popular game we've played. So there's a chance.
We might get 3 views. Hell yeah.
Oh, come on. We got like what? We had like a couple hundred on the first episode of this, right?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
That's not bad. You just put like part 1 or episode 1.
It's doing better than Robotics Notes. I remember noticing that.
That's because Robotics Notes is criminally underrated and everyone should feel bad.
It is. It is. Robotics Notes is very good.
Yeah. So anyone who
Exactly.
hasn't watched Robotics Notes series or played the game or done anything like that, you're all. So ultimately, the conclusion is you wasted your time in this series. Go watch Robotics Notes instead.
Yeah.
though arguably we did a better job of this series, but though about was good.
Oh no. Okay, as actual video content, no, this one's killing it. But
Yeah.
but that's
Yes.
because we were finding our groove and shit with.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
it makes absolute sense why that was. There was some parts in that are still excellent. To be honest, they were really fun.
It's been so long, I actually don't remember a whole lot. I
But
remember the game, but I don't
Yeah.
remember any memes and shit we came up with.
I remember there was definitely parts that were really really fun.
I know there's some parts that are fucking hilarious, but
Yeah.
the only meme I remember is Irie's coffin shop.
Yes. That was funny.
Oh god, the sunroof bit. Oh, that was so fucking funny.
Yes. Okay, no, that's it. Okay, so you need to watch the Robotics Nose series so you get the context for the very last episode because that's where we peaked. See, we did the story arc correct. We peaked at the end.
Yeah, right before they stormed the place or whatever the fuck they did.
No, they were doing it. No, yeah, it was right before. Yeah, it was right before. And then it came up again.
And watch our video because it's hilarious. Because the fucking sunroof bit is so goddamn funny.
Okay, so maybe our advice to that is, start it. If you think, wow, these two are just completely useless, then go get Robotics Nose itself. Play that. Come right back at the end of the last episode of the Dash series. Watch that and be like, okay, they got better.
Yeah. We definitely got better as it went on.
Yeah. And then, then you would appreciate Robotics Nose and, I'll respect you as a human being. That seems way too harsh. For people who don't care for Robotics Nose.
I respect you as a fan of visual novels.
That's probably the more accurate way of doing that, but no, I'll respect you as a human being.
Okay. Well, I'm desperately trying to think of more of our Robotics Notes memes, but I cannot remember any of them. I'm gonna have to rewatch them all now just to fucking remember.
See, this was the tactic of this. It was to get you to rewatch it. Get everyone to rewatch it. Everyone rewatch it. Everyone rewatch Robotics Notes. That fucking series desperately needs views. Well, the whole thing desperately needs views, but then we gotta run with what we got. We got 4 or 5 people who actually regularly watch this series. I'm really pleased with that. That there are actually people who enjoy this.
Yeah.
Who have, for some reason, watched 154 episodes, or
if
you're potato, you joined like 50 episodes ago.
Also, whatever bits of this get into the video, congratulations, I can't believe you actually watched through this. And also, I don't blame you if you're like, well, you're kind of being ironic now by talking about this for so long, right? Which, yes, but we don't care.
Exactly, which is why I probably cut about 10 minutes out of the last conversation.
Right.
So I'll make it a bit more palatable. But yes, we're taking the time now. Yeah, why are we taking the time now? It was completely random.
We just got, because I just started bitching about this taking too long.
Yeah. So
I think you made a joke about me like trying to like hurry it up or something. And I'm like, yeah. And we kind of went off on the tangents where we talked about Komi, Danganronpa, and things being too long, manga, binge watching. Yeah.
And telling you to go play Robotics Notes.
Yes.
Do that.
Anyway, we've been bullshitting for an hour in a game that's already way too long.
Yes, so your solution for a game that was way too long was that we would bullshit for... Yeah, well, actually, I'm looking at the recording. It's like 50 minutes. Don't worry. It's not an hour yet. It's most of an hour you've now bullshitted. On a game that you were complaining was too long. It was going to take us too long to finish.
If the game was too long.
So you bullshit for an hour.
Yeah. Then we start reminiscing on the old game that we played before.
Oh, we basically turned into old men. It's like, fuck new game. The old game's better.
I don't even remember. How did we start talking about Red Velvet? I don't remember.
How the fuck did we start talking about Red Velvet?
Because I was talking about how you put in the link to the Russian roulette.
Oh, and then you went off because...
And then you're talking about, you know, all the subtle stuff you do, and then I went off on Red Velvet.
Yeah, because we just... It is... Okay, I may probably kept this in, but If anyone wants to set Jimsf on a tangent for like 40 minutes, just mention Red Velvet. Or Ritzy, one of the two. You'll get him
Red
going for
Velvet,
like
Itzy,
80.
probably Mamamoo,
Yeah.
or any other K-pop I've heard.
Yeah.
This new group IVE, they've had 2 singles so far. I really like both.
See?
They
Just
have
like
good
this.
potential.
Just like fucking this. Right, I just
Shut up.
mentioned setting you off on a tangent. You're already going off on a fucking tangent.
Shut up. Listen to 11 and Love Dive. They're both great songs.
Well, at least you proved my point.
Also, okay, Itzy, come on. You gotta come out with something Korean soon. It's been a long time since Crazy in Love came out. Like,
We're going to be here for another
Voltage,
40 minutes.
shut up. Voltage and Spice are fine. But, like, I don't know, man. I feel like the Korean fans are starting to get upset.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a whole lot for them in a while. Okay, we need to continue.
Yes. The Korean fans will still be pissed.
Yes.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we'll still be pissed about something. And what the fuck was Takan on about again?